Our next guest decided to change her life after feeling stressed and realising her needs were not being met personally, professionally or privately. So in 2017, she decided to start daily meditation. And today she is a certified master of wisdom and a meditation teacher. Suzanne Thompson is a meditation teacher with Soul Archaeology. Her values are love, universal access, coexist, assist and community. Please welcome to the show, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Ant. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. You're my first live interview.
I know. It's a little bit exciting. I know. But I am grateful for it, as I'm always grateful. That is all I practice every day, is being grateful.
It's always good to see you. Now, being I have myself attended several of your classes, I can vouch for you, like some of your history, because I've been involved with meditation before. But tell our listeners why you actually chose this path for yourself.
Well, as in the introduction that you said, I was basically at a stage where I realised I was a crisis meditator. Things at work were not... I wasn't happy in my personal life and my private life, and I would get so stressed and be quite possibly be angry or frustrated, and then go, okay, well, if I go meditate, I'm going to get better. So that was a wheel and a cycle that I was on. So you repeat what you don't repair. So I basically got to a point where I knew I needed to repair myself. So in 2017, with a major personal shift in my life of becoming a solo parent, I decided to access daily meditation practice. So I used a particular app, a podcast from Hay House, which gave you a vast array of meditation teachers to choose from. So going from Louise Hay herself, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Doreen Virtue, David G. And I just went through and tried different ones every day. And what I found is that doing it every day actually made a difference. I was seeing a little bit clearer, I was calmer, I was able to be more aware of myself and actually have more having that self-care to myself. And that's the most important thing. So, and it just made me realise that no matter what method I was using, I was actually peeling away the layers, and I wanted to be able to share this. And that's what I now want to do, is to share that with anyone. It's like, it's a tool. It's a tool to put in your toolbox, and there's different ways of doing it, and that's great, and that's what I want to share.
This is Ants Talk.
It's good that you could actually even find that on an app, because this is something that any of us could do, and I think a lot of us aspire to have that, that little bit of inner peace, that little bit of quiet time, because life these days is just chaos for everybody, and to be able to actually take 5 minutes out for yourself and be able to just give something back to yourself is so important. And it's great that you actually initially found this on an app.
Yeah, and I know that there's more and more technology, and there's more and more apps coming out there, and the words mindfulness and meditation are starting to ebb and flow within everyday life, within work, within schools, even within the home. So I found that the podcast and an app was a good way. But what I realised is that I wanted to detach myself again, the next level. I didn't want to have to rely on the app. And so that was then making that step of ritualising the practice. So it actually going from being a habit to being a practice, to then it actually becoming just me.
So what would you say that meditation can add to people's daily lives?
To bring peace and stillness into your life on a daily basis, you must have a practice that supports that process. You must be able to dip into that stillness and silence on a regular basis. Now, an optimal, which is where I'm at, is a twice daily practice of roughly 30 minutes. So I do 30 minutes in the morning upon waking, and that is in silence, with initially focusing on my breath and then saying a particular mantra, which is a word or thought that resonates with where I'm at for today. And then at the end of the day, I also end that with 30 minutes of stillness and silence. But that's optimal. And scientific research has shown that it actually reduces the size of your amygdala, increases the size of your hippocampus. So your amygdala is what drives fear and anger and mistrust, and your hippocampus is what drives love and compassion and caring. So, but just doing 16 seconds of still being in stillness and silence, which is basically breathing in to the count of 4, holding that breath for 4, breathing out to the count of 4, and holding it out for the count of 4. That is a mindful practice. That is meditation.
It's sort of like even exercise. I mean, initially, you can run for 2 minutes, but you're still going to get those endorphins and everything after that 2 minutes and feel like, wow, that felt actually quite good.
Exactly. And you're cultivating that as well. So we're seeing that it's to bring it in and bring it into being that daily practice. It is doing exactly the same. It's complementing your physical practice, and that leads to one of the myths or one of the questions that most people say is, I never have time to meditate. Well, time is something that's independent, we impose it on ourselves. So rather than, if you might have time to look at your phone for 5 minutes while you're making your cup of coffee in the morning, rather than that 5 minutes of looking at your phone, you could spend 1 minute breathing, being present, and then still have 4 minutes, and then you're actually doing that. And it actually by cultivating that daily practice and planting that seed, you will slowly notice the difference over time, because it's actually not, the life-changing doesn't happen in the meditation. It happens for the remaining, if it's 24 hours or 23 hours and 59 minutes of the day. That's where the changes happen within that.
That's brilliant. What would you say people's misconceptions are about this type of practice?
Well, the misconceptions, one of them is that they don't feel those results, which is, so that covers on from or follows on from what I just said, that it's supposed to be this life-changing process where we're going to sit and levitate and achieve nirvana within 10 minutes. I don't know what nirvana is, so I've never achieved that. But it's about being patient with it and seeing, and stop looking for that higher state of consciousness to arrive. It'll just come, it'll just flow. For me, over the last 2 days, I've actually realised that I've just come to the end of year 1 of coming out of my graduation as a meditation teacher from David G's Academy. And in that 12 months, it wasn't until I've stepped back and looked that I've seen how much has changed.
Yeah.
And there's the coach of the British cycling team. The way that they changed their ethic to be able to win so many races over the last few years is that he changed the mentality of the athletes by saying that it's about the 1% that you do every day. If you increase and benefit yourself 1% every day, that accumulates. It's about the accumulation. So for me, the example is, I'm happily in a really nice house back in Adelaide, and I'm happy, the kids are happy, life is happy, making new friends. It depends on and I see abundance, and I've got prosperity and things like that. So
what experiences can you have in meditation?
Great question. No matter what method you use, as the object of your attention when you meditate, all of your experiences are valid. And there's actually really only 3 things that can happen when you meditate. 1, you have thoughts, hear sounds or physical sensations. They all basically are a form of thought. You fall asleep, or you actually experience the stillness, or what is sometimes referred to as you are in the gap, which is that place of there being no space and no time, which is where you have no thoughts. Sometimes in meditation you can be there for a few minutes. You may only be there for a few seconds, but being in that moment is no space. And so where I'm going to sort of then go from that's what they might experience, I'm then saying it's actually normal to have thoughts. We have somewhere between 60 to 85,000 thoughts a day. That's one.
The monkey brain.
Yeah. And as my teacher and many teachers have always said, that's actually unkind to monkeys, because in some ways we sort of think we've got this busy brain, but we are busy. It's pre-reptilian. There's all these different thoughts happening. And it's because we're conditioned to have all of those. And it's letting you know that you're actually not in the stillness. So you're actually trying to break that pattern. And so the reason that you sometimes may feel uncomfortable when you sit in stillness, or you try to sit in stillness, is that you are actually trying to deprogram what you've already been programmed to do. So there's that resistance.
Sure.
So it's okay to have those thoughts. Acknowledge it. Let it flow. It's just a thought. Go back to your breath if that's what you want to focus on. Some people use breath. Some people use, as I said, use a mantra. Some people look at a picture or use a sound resonating in the background. There's so many different other ways of focus that you can use when you're meditating. I use a mantra. Sometimes just the sound Om, but saying it silently. So then it enables you to go back to away from the thought and have the thought. You may also experience visual, when your eyes are closed, you might have visual experiences, like you might see colours or see pictures or faces of people. The colours is actually a good one, because depending on what colour you see, it can also be associated that it might be a focus of a shifting or an opening of a part of your body, or as in what people may or may not know of as your chakras. Yeah. So if it's a red, then it's obviously focusing on your root chakra. If it's green, you're opening and expanding on your heart chakra, which is great. It's about letting it flow.
I've definitely seen colours. I've seen a lot of stuff. I find that I'm not a great layer down. Like, I can't really lay down. I find that I do fall asleep when I do the lay down one, where I think that's the thing, is just find your comfort and find your zone. And
yeah, and that's the thing. It is about always, there's sort of, one thing I'm grateful for from my teacher, David G, is that he gave me 9.5 most valuable keys to a successful daily practice. And the first one always, and he starts this all the time, and I keep this in my head, and that's comfort is queen. It's if you're going to be meditating, if sitting on a block or sitting cross-legged for 20 minutes, if you know your leg is going to go to sleep, then that's obviously not comfortable. Yeah. So, and yes, when you do meditate, try and be as far away as possible from the position that you would normally be in sleep, because if that's what you're trying to not avoid. But there is benefits in meditation as it could be used. I've had mornings where I've woken up and have 2 children intertwined. So I will meditate in the bed and it's all good. So without disturbing them. And I know that they're consciously or subconsciously involved in that meditation as well, which is beautiful.
I think that's the thing too, like even if you do fall asleep, we didn't fail.
Exactly. There's no fail.
You were so peaceful.
And then it enables your sleep to be, maybe you might end up waking up from that sleep with sort of a different step, or
a fresher view,
or your intention might actually become clearer of what you want to do, the step you want to take for the day. And so definitely in meditation.
I love it. So the 5 myths of meditation, what would you say they are?
The first thing you need to do is clear all the thoughts from your mind. Well, as I said, the monkey brain, if that's what we've used in the past. No, they're just thoughts. It's about honouring them, letting them in and out, but then coming back to what your focus is, so to breathe. So it's normal to have those thoughts, and that's okay. It's also normal to have those sound experiences or physical experiences as well. It's knowing that they're meant to be there. You can't turn sounds off. As you know, when you're recording, you can't. And planes fly over. It's about being able to sit within and be. So meditation, our lives have always been about achieving something and we're doing them, where meditation is actually about being. So it's about being in that moment, whatever that is. If there's loud noise, music, doorbells, I'd just suggest to turn your phone off. At least then you can minimise that distraction. Yeah. And then, hence the reason I try not to use my phone or my apps to meditate. So that's the first one. You can't switch them off. Just remember, they're just thoughts. Second one is that you will have some transcendental experience during meditation. Something's meant to happen. It may, and good luck with that. And great, share it. It's beautiful. You've had an experience. But just know that it is the remaining 23 hours of the day where those experiences, some of them you may cry, you may be happy, you may feel calmer. You're actually just you're coming to your truer self, back to your true self, to your unmodified self. And that can sometimes be a challenging journey because some of us have got stresses that have been accumulating over time. And stress is when our needs are not met and we are working towards meeting those needs. Sure. And the third one is I don't think I'm doing it right. Same deal. It's like I'm meant to feel something. As I said, the 3 things that's going to happen, you'll fall asleep, you'll have a thought, or you'll experience, you will experience the gap. They're all okay.
Ants Talk. It's like Oprah, but not.
It's funny. I think that a lot of people, when they're doing it, and that might be why people sort of maybe go and never return and stuff like that. It's because, one, they're looking at the teacher thinking they've never experienced what's happening to me right now, where, of course, everyone's mind's the same. We've all got the monkey thoughts and we're laying there, we're talking and we're trying to quash those thoughts from happening. We're remembering to breathe. We're doing, you know what I mean? There's a lot to focus on but not focus on.
That's right.
And I think that a lot of people just... It's that initial switch off. It's just let it happen.
Yeah.
Let it actually happen.
Just let it be. And a really good tool that one of my fellow teachers introduced to me and all of our class last year, which was a great technique. It's still using her phone, but it's definitely a good idea. Every random time during the day, so at like 11:11, 12:12, 13:13 and things like that, she would set her alarm.
Right.
And she would do 16 seconds, which is the 4 seconds in, hold, out, hold. Just at random times during the day, she did all that. And that's, for her, how she learned and taught herself to just switch off.
Yeah.
So she was just doing it for 16 seconds. And that's how you can start. Just start with 16 seconds. And then tomorrow, maybe you might do 4 lots of 16 seconds. And then the next day it might be 5 minutes.
It's like anything, I think. If you want rewards, you've actually got to put the time in. You really do.
Yeah.
It's with anything. It's with exercise. It's with dieting. It's with, self-improvement lessons, everything like that. You've got to put work in to actually get somewhere.
I agree. And it's really quite interesting that you use the terminology time in, because that is what is the most important. You are putting the time in for yourself. You're putting that time in that it's about self-love, self-care, self-appreciation. And so for being able to show people and assist people, it's not just about showing. It's like I meditate, I teach, I've had these things happen to me, but no one else is going to do it for me. No one else is going to do it. If I want, I could step back, and I've had those moments where it's like I've started practicing every day and then you slip and you miss one. And then all of a sudden it was like, initially I didn't notice that I was missing them. And then all of a sudden one day there was like, hang on, I'm not feeling like things are flowing. I'm not seeing the abundance. I'm not feeling the love. I'm not feeling right. And then I went, oh, hang on, I haven't meditated for a couple of days. And it's like, oh. So then it just sort of slipped. And then I get up and it just is that. And so the children as well, like they know it's like, Mummy's meditating. We won't disturb her, which is great, but they do. But that's normal. It's like I have to just go through that process.
Yeah.
So, but you do. If you want to be mind fit as well as physically fit, it's just another part of it.
It's funny, every time I go anywhere, really, whether it be work, whether it be an appointment, anytime I'm really leaving the house, I always, like, I'm an early bird. I'm an hour there before, I'm even supposed to be there. And it's because I like to take my time to do things and to get prepared and to be really organised. So I'm not walking in there rushed and, overwhelmed with the world, basically, the traffic that I had to drive through, this, that, everything else. And every time just before I walk in is when I actually have a breath and then actually go in. And it's that which then enables me to actually get through the day and with a smile on my face.
Yeah, the pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
And it enables you to stop. So, and then, but I'll finish off on the last two. Yeah. And that was, if I meditate long enough, I'll achieve enlightenment. But as I said, you're never going, who's ever going to be enlightened? I'm not suggesting at all sitting on the mountaintop. And then if I meditate, I'm a superior human being. And it's like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about love, self-love. And we're all universal beings and we're all connected. If that makes sense to you and to other people, it's like we are all connected. And that is the reason why you will hear people that are practicing yoga or practicing meditation, they will start or end their practice with the word namaste. Yep. And namaste means that I honour the light in you as is the same light in me. And that's just the connectiveness. And we have this. This is a thousands and thousands year old practice. There's lots of different texts that connect all this, that show this. And we're just reiterating everything as we go through.
I think it's actually funny that with most people, especially these days and with social media and stuff like that, the world could do with a little bit more calmness, don't you think?
I agree.
This could help a lot of us. My vision, as I've said, with my 5 values, and you look at it, the world, everyone can do with a lot of calmness. But we also have to accept that there will always be frustration.
Exactly. Yeah. They're just emotions. And it's how we deal with those, what tools we can use. Meditation is just a tool. And for some people, it may not be the tool that they require. But I have seen the benefit for myself. I've seen the benefit for my children. They're not mine. The children. They chose me. The children and friends and even yourself. We've talked about it afterwards, like what you feel and how it goes. And there's and it's more publicised, and it's becoming, I'm seeing the difference even with some people in professional sports and all of that as well. So that if it comes down to that one quote about the gap, which is in stillness and response, there is that gap. And practicing meditation enables you to be in that moment. So you can choose to be angry or sad, or happy. Yeah. You've got the choice. So it's either be angry or be in love.
Tune in each week for Anne's Talk to learn about real life stories, celebrities, and everything in between.
I think that's the thing too, is that with all of us, we would all be able to acknowledge in our lives that if we do have, say, an argument with someone, say you're with your partner or your mother or whoever in the morning, you've had the argument at home, you leave the house in a foul mood, you get into your car, then there's traffic, and then it just seems to almost be a clusterfuck of things.
The power of the ripple.
Do you know what I mean? And
of course.
Basically, it seems that nothing starts to go right. Do you know what I mean? Right. It's one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, and then at the end of the day, you're just...
And then you come home, and you've still got it.
Yeah.
And that's where the twice daily practice helps, because at the end, if you do a meditation at the end of the day, you let go. So by moving from having start a practice. If you begin with having one first thing in the morning, but then to be able to come home and let go of all of that, but also go acknowledge that, I made some big mistakes, and apologise.
Yeah.
With your partner or your colleague or your family or the member of your family or your dog. You know, there's unconditional love. They'll love you no matter what when you walk in the door. That's true. And they will. So having that, being observant of that ripple is the first step of becoming aware, that you'll see the benefit of having that awareness and saying, okay, then I will stop. And if you stop, as we call it, the pattern interrupt, and you breathe and then let that go, ask for forgiveness. And the most important thing is that we all will say something in the moment.
Yeah.
And working on, but with meditation and having that practice and moving towards that daily practice, I've noticed that it enables me now to actually practice thinking before I speak. So actually asking myself 3 very important questions before it'll actually come out of my mouth, or it goes on to an SMS, or it goes onto an email. And that is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? So is it going to add any value to the silence?
Yeah.
I ask myself those 3 questions constantly.
That's a great way of thinking.
Yeah, it's a very simple process, and it's a good teaching as well. And it enables you to go, okay, then you can just let it go. And if it doesn't, and the way the gates work is that if it's true, that's okay. If it's kind and it's necessary, speak it. But if it's not true, let it go. If it's not kind, let it go. And if it's not going to add any value to the silence, don't say it.
So what would you say the most valuable keys to a successful daily practice are?
Meditation helps to relieve and release stress, which, as I've said, defined as all the wishes and dreams and expectations and desires in which a need you have had has not been met. This release of stress is you becoming more and more aware of your unconditioned self. So try not to shut down when you have these feelings. And it is the catalyst for you bridging the gap to so your heart can understand and be unconditional love. So, and be happy and be at peace. So the key, and a beautiful quote to just end with, is that first it is an intention, then it becomes a behaviour, then it becomes a habit, then a practice, then second nature, and then it's simply who you are.
Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So we're going to wrap up soon, but I'd love you to tell everybody, if they wanted to contact you or find out more about you, how would they do that?
They can call me on my mobile, which is 0411150353.
In Australia?
In Australia, +610 if you need overseas. I am on Instagram, and my catch is at Soul Archaeologists. So that's at SOULARCHAEOLOGIST. And on Facebook, I am facebook.com/Soul Archaeology. So SOULARCHAEOLOGY.
I'm glad you spelt it, because I wouldn't be able to.
It's that crazy word.
Exactly. Fantastic. We really appreciate you coming in and having a chat to us, Suzanne. Really love it. Thank you. And I'm sure the listeners love it.
I love you too. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Tune in each week for Ants Talk to learn about real life stories, celebrities, and everything in between.